Sam, how's it going, mate?
Gordon, how are you, mate? You okay?
I'm good, mate. I'm good.
Mate, sorry, we're running
All
a little
good.
bit behind,
No
little bit
worries,
behind
mate.
schedule,
Aye. Well,
mate.
the amount of messing about I done, mate, trying to get this booked. Don't blame you.
Mate, no,
Trying to
it's
keep
all
me
good. It's all
hanging.
good. No, mate, not at all. Not at all. Listen, I'm sorry, but yeah, we done the live show part of it downstairs in front of the audience. We all went a bit, yeah, we just a couple of little delays with one of the people coming in, so it just put us a little bit behind. But we'll be all right. We're back in the game, and mate, appreciate you waiting around. So top man,
No worries, mate. No worries. Is my
mate. Listen,
reception all right?
yeah, good. Can you hear me? Okay.
Aye, I've got you, mate. But it's just I'm in a hotel at the minute, mate. So I don't know if the Wi-Fi is any good or not.
Yeah, no, mate, I can hear you. You're all good. You're all good. So we're winning. We're winning. Well, look, mate, let's
Good,
jump
mate.
straight in. Tell me tell me a little bit about, obviously, as a professional footballer. Tell me a little bit about football growing up for you.
So for me, mate, like football growing up was just about having fun. Um,
Yeah,
I was never put under any pressure from my family. My dad played football. I used to go and watch football with him, like watch his football. So it was just having fun and enjoying myself, really. But when I look back on my like sort of early days as a young player, like all I can think of is like that side of it, like how good it was. I remember different things like goals that I scored, or events that we won, or the friendship that I had with like the guys that I've stuck with me for a lifetime. So um, no, it was just about enjoying myself, mate, and sort of enjoying playing football.
love that. When did you like? When did you get to that point where you thought, I'm going to make a career out of this? Like, when did you get picked up? At what age was that?
Be fair, mate. All like through like your childhood, you get like moments where you can go for trials and you go like picked up and you go and play a game for them or a game for them. But for me, my first like sort of real professional club was when I was about 14, 15, when I joined Motherwell, who were the SPL at the time. And I used to play on a Sunday, but I'd play on a Saturday morning with my school, Saturday afternoon with my club team, and then I'd play on a Sunday with Motherwell. Um, and like there was no sort of sign of he's been on his feet too much or his workload's been too heavy, like the young lads today. So I'd play like 3 games in a weekend and then let's sort of go again, train like 3, 4 times a week. And if I wasn't training, I'd be playing football with my friends. So and that was just like sort of um, the way that it was for me back then.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
But
And
to
was you?
be fair, mate, I must say as well, when I got to like that stage, even when I was playing with Motherwell, because like when you're growing up, like there's always like a critic. You're always getting rejection. You're always like, oh, he's a bit tall, or he's a bit small, or he's a bit left-footed. Oh, he's not got a right foot. He's quick. He's slow. So there's always something that people are pointing out. Oh, he needs to do this. He needs to do that. So I never ever felt like I was ever going to play professional football because there was so many different people saying different things to all the boys were in the same boat. And back then, like we never had social media and like, there was less pressure on us then, but at the same time, like you could feel the pressure coming through like the clubs like, oh, I'm not sure if he should play there because he's this or he's that. But I
Yeah.
started off as a striker and gradually moved
Oh,
back into midfield. Aye. I used to be a striker, then I moved back into midfield. Then I would like, be wide midfield. Then I was back to centre back, and it was only when I really got to centre back that I started to really get recognition. But I wanted to be a striker, and score the goals and get the glory. But unfortunately, I just wasn't good enough, mate.
mate, a leader at the back though. That's what you were, a leader at the back.
I know, I know. When I think back, mate, like I just think back with pride. Honestly, I can't explain. Now that I've retired, you look back with like sort of rose tinted glasses a wee bit. But when I look back on my career, like there's very few things that you can really pick on. Like, oh, I should have done that. I should have done this. Um, but when I look
Because
back, it's just pride, mate.
I talk. I tell you one thing. I guess that I'd be keen to ask you, and looking at, like, I talk to entrepreneurs a lot and business owners, and we just had a couple of interviews just now, and people talking about the importance of enjoying the journey and all that. And I guess as a footballer, like many childhood boys' dreams to want to become a footballer and to do that. Do you look back at the career, like you said, and go, I enjoyed every moment of that period and that lifestyle of playing professional football?
I do now. But when
Yeah,
you're in it, I never. I loved playing football even when I was a player, but I think there's always pressure. People kind of underestimate the pressure that these guys are under, and it's only getting worse. And there's always a level of pressure that's put upon you that you put upon yourself. So
yeah,
it might be there's a young player coming through the youths that's a top talent that, I'm not going to give up my jersey easy. So it's like, nah, I'm going to show them. I'm going to make sure that he's nowhere near it, that lad. So then
yeah,
there's loads of things that go in through your head that you look back and think, I should have probably relaxed. Now looking back, and when I look and think, oh, I've achieved this, I've done that. I played for
yeah,
18 years professionally. I look back and think, why did I not relax a wee bit during the time? But if I did relax, I might not have had the career I did, because I was
yeah.
like sort of always striving for more. And as soon as you take your foot off the gas, mate, you're yesterday's news, and somebody's going to be working harder than you. Somebody's going to come in and take your place, and you're done.
Yeah, I get that, because I guess football, I guess it is like you said, things change in football so much. Like you said, you can be having a great run, and then 2 or 3 bad games, and all of a sudden you're on the bench, you're not playing, and
Yeah.
you're going, what's going on? Do you know what I mean? And that must be a difficult period, like you said, but to play a professional career for, like you say, 18 years at that level and that top level as well. Like I say, playing club, country. Talk to me about some of the highlights. Talk to me about some of the highlights of the career over 18 years.
I think, to be fair, mate, like when I look back, the thing that sticks out in my head any time that if I think, like, what was my biggest achievement? For me, it
Yeah,
was definitely playing for Scotland. Um,
yeah,
there was no bigger thing for me, but because I feel that it wasn't just for me. I feel that it was
yeah,
kind of like for all my family and all my
yeah,
friends that I grew up playing football with. It was kind of for all of us.
yeah,
When I made my debut for Scotland, for example, like the amount of messages I had for people that I hadn't heard for years, like, remember you used to play football here, remember you used to do that there, now look at you. So, like, people were proud of me for doing that. So I felt like it was it wasn't just for me, that it was for my friends and family. Um, but
I've-
a personal highlight would have probably been, like, for me, like when I made my debut for Scotland, and then I made my competitive debut. So they're the kind of things that I look back and think, it's like surreal thinking about it now.
because I guess, like you said, as a childhood dream, we all had that. I had that dream. I want to love to play. Remember watching England losing 1990 in the World Cup. I remember saying to me, "Oh man, I'm going to play for England one day," and that was a dream. But to do that, and you had that dream as a young lad, and then you've had to actually achieve it. What an amazing feeling of euphoria! And they're the points, I guess, that you always touch on, and you look at your life and career highlights and stuff like that. That you go, how much do you really sit there and be grateful for that, and be present in that moment and really take it in? But it must be difficult with, like you said, with the pressure, because you want to play well as well. You're playing for
Yeah,
Scotland, so you want to play well as well. So it's that. Is
I'll tell you what, mate. The pressure that I felt in those games is something that I can't explain. Um,
really,
it's because when I went back to Scotland, obviously when I was playing for Scotland, I was playing for Brighton, so I would go back
yeah,
up from Brighton, and in Scotland, like, Brighton's a brilliant club, and it's so well run, and it's doing great, and like they're in the Premier League now, and like they're flying, and the infrastructure and all that they've got in place there is fantastic. But for people in Scotland, it's all about the SPL and playing for Rangers or Celtic. They don't really know
yeah,
how big a club Brighton would be. So for me, like, leading the team out for the first game at the Amex is a massive highlight in terms of looking back on my career and thinking, oh, it was unbelievable, like the support we had, and like the atmosphere, and then the late goal. It couldn't have went any better. But for like my friends and family, it was like, mate, you're just playing a game against Doncaster. What's a big deal? Do you know what I mean? So they don't really see the sort of they don't feel it. You know, they don't live it day to day. They don't live in the community. Like, they speak to fans and like they know how people are feeling about the new stadium. Like, oh, buzzing, we're back in the Championship. They don't feel that. Whereas I felt it, so it was a big day for me, but not for them. Whereas when I played for Scotland, it was like a big day for them and me. So I was getting loads of messages like, oh, good luck, good luck. And then when you go into that, you just, as you say, all you want to do is come out of it. Just don't mess up. That's all you're thinking. Like, just come out of this like with a bit of respect, so my family can walk down the street. My dad can hold his head up high going for a pint with his friends. You're not thinking about playing a blinder. You're just thinking, just get through this game. But thankfully for me, mate, the manager at the time was brilliant, and he was really good in terms of encouraging me just to go and play my game. So I managed to do pretty well, and aye, mate, it was a dream come true.
Love that. It's interesting you talk about that first game at the Amex. So Bucks was on earlier. I was talking to Will earlier. He come on and we was talking about that moment as well. I was there and it was brilliant. Like you said, there was so many fans. Like, you obviously remember, I had the salon at the time, so people would come in and you're talking to the community who have used to watch people at the Goldstone and the Withdean, and then all of a sudden you're at the Amex and you're in the Championship and you get that last minute goal, and magical. What a magical day. Like, and Will said, he was saying like, that was just because of, like you said, because it not just necessarily for you as a team and where you were, but the euphoria of the whole community, the whole of Brighton, not just in the Amex, but you walking through the streets and stuff like that afterwards. Just that everyone, it was such a buzz around it, wasn't there, at the time?
Oh, mate, it's brilliant. I mean, I'd done a few interviews before I arrived at Brighton, and I had no idea the size of the club. None. You know, I've been attached to the club now for years, but at the time when I first arrived, I had no idea the size that the club was and what could be. Because obviously I've just played against them at the Withdean, and all of a sudden we've got this fantastic new stadium, and it's like, oh, we're going to fill that. And I'm kind of like, aye, all right. You know, like, you don't really know because you don't know, you don't live it. And then all of a sudden you come down and like, I think we could fill that. Like, we get promotion, like, with a good team at the time, a brilliant manager. And then like next thing you know, we're playing at the Amex and the place is packed, and they've never looked back since, to be honest.
Yeah. No, it's an amazing space. It really is. Yes, but it was brilliant. It was a brilliant period that first year there as well, and being up there, and you know, I had the salon and you and the lads coming in, and we go up to the ground and watch some of the games, and it was just a brilliant time to watch football, be part of Brighton, and be within that community. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome.
I know. I think, to be fair, as the club's grown, and it's natural that the club's more of a sort of corporate machine now, you know, because they're in the Premier League. You know, like, the players aren't as accessible as we were then.
Sure.
But I mean, back then, like, you know, we were, as you say, we're coming in for our haircut, going for coffees, going for lunch. Like, there was no issues with us, and we were all great, good lads. It was a brilliant squad of players that we had at the time. And
even got the best played some golf, mate, didn't we?
Aye, well, I tried. Should I say I tried?
You still play?
But no, no, mate. I've not played for a while. Getting old, mate. My back's in tatters, so I try and look after myself as much as I can. But golf, it's not at the top of my list, mate. To be fair.
Fair enough, mate. Talk to me. I want to talk about obviously through your playing career. Who was the best manager you played under, and why?
So, I was thinking, like, when we discussed this, like, I think when you're a footballer, you take good and bad, and I'm currently like doing studying, and I'm studying a module about leadership, and it talks about leadership, but most of your learning comes from, like, I would say, like, the negative things. Like, I'm definitely not doing that. You know, that's shocking. I'm never going to do that. But like, you take something from every manager. But my favourite manager was Gus Poyet. He sort of brought me into the club, but the way that he wanted to play just aligned with like my strengths. So it helped me. I helped him, but he helped me, if that makes sense. So he
Yeah.
was wanting to pass the ball, and I was like, that was what I loved doing. So like, all right, I'll happily pass the ball. If you give it away, don't worry, I'll take the blame. Oh, brilliant! I'll pass it all day. Don't worry about that. So his sort of beliefs and my sort of strengths, it just sort of aligned perfectly, and with a brilliant team and really good sort of people around us. But he was a manager that just sort of brought the best out in a lot of people, and I really enjoyed my time when he was a manager, to be fair.
Yeah. No, what like you're talking about now, obviously you studying sort of leadership and stuff, and I guess as a captain as well, you're ultimately you're a leader as well on that pitch. That so what did you take any skills from Gus that you I guess took on the pitch, but also that you sort of use now?
I think the one thing that stood out with Gus more so than I'd had previously, and again, it's just my experiences, but previously, my managers, I would say, were if you were in the team and you were doing well, you would get, the arm round you, how's it going, everything going all right. But if you weren't in the team and you weren't doing well, it was more like you never really spoke to the manager a lot. The manager was a manager. There was a real element of like, he's the boss, we're players, we follow his instruction. Whereas Gus treated everyone very similar. Like he would speak to me the same way he did a 16-year-old lad who was just coming through the youth. And he got to know people, and I just always felt like it was a really good way to be. Like he'd get to know people about, how's everything going with you, and have you passed your driving test? And then he'd speak to me about my family, and he knew a wee bit about us, and he was just a good guy.
Yeah.
And he was a brilliant manager. So that's the kind of thing that I took for him. I just thought, you know what, the level of respect the lads had for him, because like, he would get to know you, he would understand you, but I'll tell you what, he was not to be crossed. So he was one of these
Yeah.
guys, he was great around the place, happy, but as soon as he wanted to tell you something, he would just tell you exactly what he thought. So, and again, I really respected that. I respected that there was no grey area. If you were rubbish, he would tell you you're rubbish. If you were great, he would tell you you were great. And he would just, no matter who you were, he would tell you, which I just really liked.
That's that level of communication, I guess, at that level, it's so key, isn't it? For whatever, like I said, whatever level of player you are, whether you're the captain or you're a 16-year-old lad coming through, that level of communication such a key thing from any leader, I guess, from a leadership point of view.
I think for him, I mean, I knew that I had a good chance of playing in the games. I was a
Yeah,
captain of the team. I was doing well. I knew Gus liked me. But for the younger lads, yourself, if you're a young employee or you've just started at a new company or whatever, you don't really know what the boss thinks of you, or does he like me?
sure.
Does he know? Does he want me to do this? Does he want me to do that? Whereas Gus
Yeah,
was like, he would get to know them. They felt more relaxed around him. Oh, he spoke to me today. A wee small thing like that for a young pro is quite a big deal. So the fact that he was taking the time to speak to these young guys, getting to know them, getting to know their name. For example, my first manager that I had at Kilmarnock would never know the reserve team names, never mind some of the first team players. So the fact that Gus knew everybody and knew a wee bit about them was the kind of person that he was. Like he wanted to get to know you, wanted to make you feel comfortable and welcome. But at the same time, as soon as you're on that pitch, if you never done what he wanted you to do, he was quite happy to tell you in no uncertain terms.
but like you said, and I guess some people do respond like you yourself. You like people to speak and be direct about that. Other people maybe they go into their shell a little bit after they have someone speaks to them in that direct manner. I guess I guess it's just
Yeah.
about knowing people, isn't it? It's just man management's quite a key thing, I guess, especially in that changing room. But I guess I relate that a lot to business as well. Like to build a strong team and a strong culture. The relationship with that with football especially and with business, but to create a really strong culture, you've got to have that strong leader, and you've got to be able to communicate with those people, and that's where that similarities come.
No, for sure. And I think within any team, you need a diverse, different type of person that brings different things. I mean, that's one of the things that I'm looking at now. Like, as a captain, I was a great follower, but
Yeah,
so I followed the manager told me this is what we're doing, and this is why we're doing it, and I'm on the pitch. I'm the manager's voice on the pitch, and I was like, you know, a dog with a bone. This is what we're doing,
yeah,
and this is why we're doing it. And if you don't do it, I'm going to tell you. And like, I was
yeah,
just constantly organising, pushing in a direction that was set by the manager. And I
yeah,
was really good at that. So he sets the direction. I'm just pushing the lads to different places and organising through within that. So like anything, but you need different types of people. Like if everyone was like me in the team, it would have been carnage because we'd end up fighting on the pitch because everybody's shouting at each other, and
yeah,
you need people that take instruction. Aye, all right, you calm down, and you need
yeah.
calm people. So I think the blend is really important that you've got within your team, and I think
I agree.
it's important when you're building a team that you try and look at that.
Yeah. Was you always like growing up through the ranks of football? You were obviously captain at Brighton, but was you always a leader on the pitch? Was that always your role? Did you think even from a young age was you like that?
Even if I wasn't the captain, I'd be a leader because you need more than one leader within
Yeah, of
the
course.
starting 11. You need as many leaders as you can, and
Yeah,
hopefully you've got different types of leaders within that environment. That one person wears the armband, but you're looking for like maybe two or three guys in there that are going to like sort of pull the team together. And I would
mm,
always be that. I would always take that role on that. You take the responsibility. I'm going to do this because this is the way we're going, and this is why we're doing it. And if you fell away from that or you didn't do what was expected of you, then I'll tell you. But then you've got
yeah,
somebody else within the team that will put their arm. Don't worry about him. He's a dick. Do you know what I mean? Well, let's go
yeah,
this way. But I took that role on, and I didn't mind upsetting people. Whereas like, I knew there was other people within the squad that would then pick people back up and move forward. And the lads knew it was only when I was on the pitch or the training pitch. Off the field, you've seen it yourself. Like we're all good friends, and we got on great, and we'll have a laugh. And I love my time, like having a laugh with the lads. I still keep in touch with many of them now.
yeah,
But you need a good diverse mix, I think, and as many leaders as possible. But as I say, I'll go and play five-a-sides now, and I'll be exactly the same now, playing
yeah.
five-a-sides as I was when I was playing for Scotland or Brighton in front of how many other fans.
You want to win? I've got to get out there. I'm going to win, and you're going to do that. You
Oh,
get there.
I actually don't know why I can't. Like, I genuinely go into things like, no, I don't enjoy it if I don't win, which is a
Yeah.
real strange thing because I'm just playing five-a-side. And it's a big deal if you win or not. I need to try and relax a wee bit, mate.
Yeah, it's that competitive nature of you, mate. You can't get rid of it. You can't shake it off. It
I
must come from
know.
become to actually. I was talking to Lewis Hatchett earlier, who's a former cricketer at Sussex, and actually to get to the top of your game and to play to become a professional athlete, you've got to have that competitive nature. I mean, you've got to have that drive and ambition and that hard work ethic to get there. Because if you don't, you're not going to become an elite athlete or get to that high level. And, you can relate that to business, I guess, in a certain way as well. You get to the top of your game, whatever high performance or that high level you want to achieve, you've got to put in that work ethic. You've got to believe and have that competitive edge, or you've got to have something that fire in your belly to be able to go and achieve it.
I know. I think everyone who plays at an elite level has got like a super strength or one main attribute that really stands them apart from somebody else.
Yeah,
But it's like once you've got that main attribute that this is him, he's really quick or he's really strong or he's got an amazing right foot or left foot. It's like what the rest of the game. Every manager that you've played under wants different things from you, different things with and without the ball. It's like how adaptable can you be? And I think growing up through sport, you become adaptable, you become resilient because that's massive in sport now to be resilient and take the knocks. Um, but hard work and one of the worst things you could ever say to me would be you didn't work hard enough because it's a
yeah,
basic requirement for me. So if
yeah,
if I felt like if somebody wasn't working hard enough and they'd all this talent, I would make sure that they knew, and I would tell them, and I would speak to them on a level and say, like, you're doing this, you're throwing away your career because you're not working hard enough. Like, do you understand? I'm trying. The manager doesn't like me. I heard the guy speaking earlier about making excuses, but I would definitely tell them, because you've got one shot at it, and hard work's like a given for me. Everyone should just work as hard as they can.
I love that. Now, look, coming to watch you as many times as I did, like, without fail, every game, you'd leave it all on the pitch. Like, you no matter what, whether like you'd come off and I'd speak to you sometimes, like, I didn't have a great game or whatever, but you'd give 100%, and you've left everything on there always.
No, I know, and that's the thing as well. See, like, even just being self-aware. Let's see, when you play poorly, like, everybody has bad games, everybody makes mistakes, but being able to say, do you know what, I've done this, I should have done that. Being self-aware, that's another step. It's like, you're aware enough, like, you need to do better. If you're not doing better, you're going to lose your place. So again, that goes back to, like, the fear element. It wasn't like me. I said this in a previous podcast that I'd done. Like, most of my time, like, playing football, it was a fear of not playing. It was like, oh, Donkey's coming through. Nah, he's not taking my place. He can stay on the bench, or he's not taking my. I'm going to work harder. I'm doubling down. I'm on it. He's not getting my place. I'm going to make sure. So, like, there's things like that, and then as you move through, it's like, oh, the next thing. Oh no, he's that. I'm going to do this. So it's kind of, there's a fear there that you don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to let yourself down. You don't want to let the fans down, the club. And you're just like, no, I'm going to work harder and harder. And as you get older, there's more questions on you as well. So, but no, mate, it's some career at back. As I said earlier, there's elements that I wish I'd enjoyed more. I wish I enjoyed the wins more, because I never enjoyed winning as much as I probably should have, especially when things got serious. When I was a young lad, 20-odd-year-old, playing for Kilmarnock, winning in the SPL, I was like buzzing for the next 5 days. Then I got to a point where it was like, oh, no, we're going to the Premier League. Right, that's that game, done, next. I never enjoyed it. It was just like, right, this is my goal. I'm going there. And, like, I was so focused on it that I didn't really enjoy the small wins of the season, where you're getting the wins, 3 points on a Saturday.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear that, because again, I'll relate it back to sort of business and the people I've talking to over, with entrepreneurs and exactly that type of thing. You're on this journey, you're trying to get somewhere, but if you're not enjoying that process, you've got to enjoy the process, and like you said, enjoy the process, but enjoy that journey, not worry about the destination, what that end goal is, whether it be Premier League, whether it be I'm growing a business to 100 million turnover, whatever those things are. As long as you're enjoying that process along the way, that's where, and being present, I guess, in them moments, that's where it's key, isn't it? That's where we get fulfillment from.
Yeah, and that's definitely the thing that I give advice. Obviously, I'm looking after young players now, and I'll say, enjoy this. It's really important that you enjoy this moment, because, like, I was, like, so fixated on, like, as you say, I wasn't present in the now. I'm looking at the future. No, I'm going there. This is where I'm going, and this is where we're going as a team. Whereas, like, really, you should enjoy the small wins, if you like, the week to week, game to game, 3 points. But I did at the beginning. I definitely did. I was buzzing with it, but then gradually, as things got more serious, and, like, we had a real, we're going. It's like, then there was more responsibility on me as a person, so I didn't want to, like, all right, does everybody want to do this because we've won a game? You led by example, and it's like, no, on that game, it's on to the next one. So, but looking back, I definitely took that role of the leader, but at the same time, I wish there was times where I did relax a wee bit more and enjoyed the.
I want to just talk to me a little bit about life after football then. So that, because you're still linked with the Albion, obviously still working as pathway development manager there. Talk to me about that.
So I started off. So life after football, when I retired, mate, I felt at the time was right. I've played for 18 years. I wasn't enjoying it anymore, and I know it sounds crazy to say that, but I was playing football and I wasn't getting old. And what I loved about football was getting on the ball and making passes. And it got to a point where I wasn't doing that. And I thought, you know what? I'm like 37, 30. I'm not enjoying this. I'm just going to stop playing. But I was still fit. So because I made the decision on my own terms, I felt like, no, this is the time's right to step off into something else. But after a couple of months, I was like really regretting my decision, thinking like, why did I do that? Like, why not just keep playing somewhere, anywhere? Because I can still play. I was still fit. And then I really started to miss football because I thought, I've had enough. I want to take some time out. I've got my own car business that I've been running for a number of years. And I thought I'll just focus on that, something totally different for football. And after a couple of months, I was like, nah, I just want over football. So thankfully, I done a game for BBC Sussex on the radio, and Johnny asked me, like, what's next? And I was like, well, I'm not sure. I'm not one of these guys either that puts it all over social media, I've retired and all that. I just sort of quietly drifted off into the sunset, mate. So I didn't need to label anything. And then Johnny asked me, like, what was next? And I said, no, that's me. I'm finished with it. I'm done. And then through the conversation, like, came another conversation for the club saying, like, do you want to do something for us? So obviously from that, I started scouting for the club, and I really enjoyed being back involved. And then gradually my role got bigger at the scout, and then I started helping David with the loan players, David Weir, and I really enjoyed that because I've got my coaching badges, and I thought I could maybe go into coaching. But then this sort of, I was really enjoying it, and then I got it, the actual job. But I love it. I really enjoy it. The lads, you know, I've walked in their shoes. I've been on loan. I've had many downs, many ups. I know how they feel. So there's no better person for the lads to speak to than somebody that's been through it themselves. And obviously I've got the connection for the club, which is great. I know exactly where the club's coming from and what we're trying to achieve. And the lads are good young lads. So no, I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, mate, it's awesome. It's great, obviously, that you're still linked with the club, and because, like I said, it's brilliant. Obviously, having the privilege of watching you over that period and being involved, it's such an exciting time, and it's quite. But talk to me a little bit about because you talked about a leadership course you're doing as well at the moment. Is that right?
Well, I'm actually doing my masters in sport directorship. And I've only just started it, mate. So I've only started it a couple of months back. But the first module is about leadership, and I found it fascinating. I must say, mate. Like, a lot of the things that I would do on the football field is what most people would class as terrible leadership, because it's just like you're shouting ball in, you're getting in people's faces. It's just crazy. But a lot of good comes from that. So I don't mind having these awkward conversations and having, like, conflict with people. I don't mind it, whereas some people do. But then on the flip side of that, I'm learning more about myself and, like, what makes me tick, and why do I feel that that's the right way, or why does it feel the right way on the pitch? Because it's basically like when my emotions are up and I care about something, I'm in it. And it was when I'm basically across that line, it's like there's no going back.
Yeah, I love that. I think, like, from I guess listening to that and that sort of the help that you were able to with the younger lads in the team. Do you see the same attitude amongst the younger lads that like we just spoke about with you, and that determination, that drive and passion to win and compete? And I'm not gonna give up. If someone's coming in and they're not getting my jersey. Do you see that within the team now, within the young lads?
I think things have. I mean, my journey was, I had lots of sort of setbacks as a young kid, a young player. I didn't feel, as I said earlier, that I'm going to the top. That would never have entered my mouth. If my dad said to me, "Who are you going to play for?" I would, I'm going to play for Scotland and Rangers one day. But I would never sit in front of my friends and say, "I'm going to the top, lads. See you later. See you up there. If you make it, great. I'm going." That would never be my mentality. I was like, I'm just going to give it my all and see where it takes me. Whereas I think a lot of the younger players now, especially when they're in elite environments, they've been sort of tall their whole life, if that makes sense. They've been the best. Anything they've done, they've been the best. It's easy for him, under 10s to under 15s, they've been the best. They've never really felt, not all of them, but a lot of them haven't really felt rejection. And all of a sudden they get to a point where it's like the standard's so high, I think they're not really prepared for that rejection. And it's sometimes good to have the rejection put upon them at a younger age so they can actually deal with it and think, right, how did that feel? What am I going through? How do I improve? Right? How do I manage my emotions? All that sort of stuff. So I think part of the job is actually like sort of, when they go on loan, it's not always about we want them to go on loan and score X amount of goals or keep 25 clean sheets. It's actually like, how did you feel when you were getting sort of a senior player was talking down to you? How did you feel when you played rubbish? How did you feel when the manager took you out of the team? All these things are like really crucial for a player's development. And of course, it's great when it works out and they go and play fantastically well and score the goals, and then they're on to the next thing. But one thing I can guarantee you, anybody, is that within football you'll always have periods of rejection. You're playing terrible, nobody likes you, you're getting booed by the fans, you're getting stick on social media. There'll always be a period of that. So it's like, how well do you deal with that? And that will determine how quickly you can get over it and move on.
It's that bit, those things in life that where things aren't going great, that build resilience, isn't it? The resilience has become a word that we've used so much when I talk to on a podcast, especially coming out of something like COVID, that we had to be resilient to bounce back after that. So many business owners were thrown into like, this is shit, bloody hell, what are we going to do? Like, you know what I mean? We're in a tough period, but you got to bounce back. You look at so. I think that's such an important lesson. Like, even you got young kids as well, the girls and stuff like that. Like, actually, that thing around failure or making mistakes or how you respond to those and what actually builds you as an individual, isn't it? That's what we're trying to get to. And I guess I'm assuming that's what you're alluding to with those players, because, like I said, they've probably gone through their lives of having it all going well and then don't know how to deal with something that, when things are not going right, that's where mental health issues come in, I guess, and stuff like that.
I think it's even tougher now with the likes of social media, because there's young players now, even at under 18 level, have got a following on social media, because they're attached to a certain club, whether it's Brighton, Man City, Man United. That people will follow them, see what they're doing, see what kind of boots they're wearing, see what kind of clothes they're wearing, that type of thing. And there'll be people on there that will always give them sort of recognition and build them up. Oh, you were great today, or you're the best. And they start to, I think some young people in general start to really need that. And need other people's sort of approval, if you like. And I think that can be a danger, because all of a sudden, what the media's like, and and I'm not even talking about football, you're saying about work. All of a sudden it comes crashing down, like, oh, they're terrible, everybody's on that, oh, you're terrible, you're rubbish, your clothes are terrible, what are they boots all about? Before you know it, you're getting stick left, right and centre, and you can't come away from it. Whereas I think having that resilience, you're not relying on other people's approval, you're not relying on sort of somebody you don't know telling you how good you are. For me, all I needed was my mum and dad and my manager and my wife to say, nah, do you know what? You done all right. You done well. That's enough. I didn't need X amount of people telling me on social media that I was great. All I needed was a couple. Likewise, if I was terrible, all I needed was a couple of people to say, do you know what? You were terrible today. I know. I know. I didn't need anyone else telling me. If somebody else told me, I'm like, then it's going to be like, why do you think it's all right for me to say that to me? But that's the challenge for young people that are all over social media now.
Them external factors now, it is like, and again, even taking it away from football, like you say, with that the younger generation that they're on there and got to get this amount of likes and this amount of followers and this amount of people on there, and that external validation from other people, like, just we crave that. If I post something and I've got enough, like, oh, then they get down about that, and it blows my mind really, because like you said, from obviously I use social media now, but it's not got the impact on me that it does on that younger generation, and especially I guess as a footballer, like you say, that them young lads, because they build up so much following because they're associated with a club, that they constantly bombarded on Twitter, whatever that looks like. And like you said, again, it builds back to resilience. You've got to have quite a thick skin, I guess, and from rejection from those external factors, trying to switch off from them and building that resilience. And yeah, is that it? And I guess is that part of your role to help them with those skills and stuff?
To be honest with you, you don't want the lads to go and have a terrible time. You want them to go out and experience and have all the best. Like, you play great, the manager's great, the lads are great. There's no issues, and you can sort of build them up to a point where, right, okay, you're ready for the next step. Yeah. But the first step on the ladder, from sort of youth football to senior football, is a huge. It's a huge step. It's a huge transition for players to go through. And I think the more positive role models they've got around them, the more people that are around them that are real, if you like, they're not telling them what they want to hear, the better it will be for them, the better experience. I sometimes look at players and think, I don't know how they're going to react. I don't know how they're going to be when the sort of rejection comes. They've probably never been through it. They're probably the best you're the best player. They play with England. They're doing this, that, and the next thing, and then all of a sudden, you're not good enough. Really? It's the first time it's ever been said to me. I'm 19-year-old. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful, mate, that I had rejections for a really young age, and I felt shocking and what? Because the rejections I had then built me to a point where, as I say, I didn't need somebody else to tell me. But then getting a coach or a manager, these young lads might go out and get a coach or a manager that believes in them, and even that, it's life changing. So you've got the negative, but you've also got the positive. All of a sudden, you've got a guy saying, "Do you know what? You can do this, you can do that." And having somebody who's a figurehead at a football club telling you, "You're going to go and do this, don't worry about it, you're this, you're that," that gives the young lads huge belief.
Yeah, I love that. We all go through life and we meet people that have an impact on us and help change, shape, mould us, or whatever that looks like. And yeah, mate, that's really, like you said, especially with football, like you say, that's only got to be that one manager to take that belief in someone and change their path and give them that confidence to move on.
And it's really I think it is really difficult, but as I say, because we were actually debating, it was nothing to do with Brighton, we were actually debating player signings, the transfer window, and we're saying people are desperate to get these players in, and for example, the lad that went to Man United, Anthony, and it's Ajax want him and Man United want him, but whether it works out at Man United or not, but he'll be getting told coming in the door, you're the best thing, you're going to be the starting, you're going to be number one, you're going to be this, you're going to be that, you're going to be that. Works out or not, and then he comes in 2 months later, it's I've moved country, I'm in a new club, you promised me one thing. I'm not saying he's not going to play, but if it doesn't work out, it's life changing for that lad as well.
Yeah,
so it's through the whole
career. Yeah. Mate, listen, we're coming towards the end, mate. I want to tell me what's the future hold for Gordon Greer?
To be honest, mate, I'm really enjoying what I'm doing now, and I'm just going to work as hard as I can, what I've done throughout my playing career, and just see where it takes me. As I said to you about 10 minutes ago, I'm not one of these guys that's going to tell you I'm going to be here, there, or anywhere. I'm just going to keep working away, mate, working hard and giving it up my all and seeing where I end up.
Love that, mate. Well, look, we're gonna finish as I have with every episode with just some quick fire questions. So, tell me what one piece of advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
For me, I would definitely say to believe in yourself more. I touched on it a wee bit earlier on, just saying that looking back, after looking back, what I did achieve as a footballer and the longevity I had, I wish I believed in myself at a younger age, but again, as I said, that's a negative. But then a negative can turn into a positive later on, because I don't think the negativity around football affected me as much as it did other people. So, but I would definitely say to believe in myself more.
Love that. Who's been the biggest inspiration in your life and why?
I think for me, again, looking back, probably most people would say this is my parents. My dad, with the football side of it, I'm basically a younger version of my dad now. And then my mum, she's a nurturing, caring one. My dad's like, no, you need to do this, you need to do that. This is how you get to here. This is where. And then, so I would say that for me, the biggest, influence on my life are definitely my parents.
That. Could you, if you listen to podcasts, read books, what could you recommend a podcast or book to our listeners that's had an impact on you?
To be honest with you, mate, I'm not a massive reader, and I'm going through that MSD at the moment, and the whole reading situation is not a great thing. I'm reading and I'm thinking about something else, so I need to zone out. I need to take half an hour out before I can start reading. But I love listening to the podcast, the High Performance podcast. Obviously, I'm not recommending it, but that's a podcast that I will listen to now and again, and I really like the Diary of the CEO as well. But they're two of the massive ones that most people would have heard of. So apart from that, mate, I've got nothing for you.
I love that. They're my two favourites, so we're on the same page with that, mate. All good. Listen, finally, what's your one rule for living a fulfilled life?
I think, mate, to try and enjoy the moment. We spoke about it earlier. Try and live in the moment and enjoy what you're doing. You should enjoy what you're doing and enjoy your life. Years ago, you don't want to live to work. You want to sort of work to live. You want to live and enjoy yourself. So I would say I'm trying to find the balance. I'm quite all in, so I'm trying to find that balance. I've got young children, my wife. You've got your family thing, you've got your work thing. So try to find a real happy medium, but to enjoy what you're doing and enjoy your family. And I would say that's the key for me. If I'm getting all that, if I get all those things right, mate, I'm happy.
Mate, I love that. Listen, I'm so grateful for your time, mate. I appreciate it's a late one, and I know you travelled, you're in a hotel, and I'm just so grateful for you taking the time out. And known you for many years now, and got to know each other when you used to come in a salon and go. And I've seen you up in Manchester and stuff, and just always supported me and stuff I've done. So I'm just really grateful and humbled, mate. So thanks for giving up your time today and coming on. And it's great to chat to you. And next time I'm up in Manchester or you're down here, we'll have to catch up for a beer.
Definitely, mate. And it's an absolute pleasure. I think what you're doing is fantastic, mate. So anytime.
You're a legend, mate. All the best. I'll catch up with you soon.
Take care.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, mate. Cheers.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.